I would like to call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, the first item on the agenda tonight is the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All right, next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the August 17th, 2023 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Do I have a...
I move we approve the minutes of the August 17th meeting.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. All right, we're here tonight for application P342, 142 Woodland Avenue, the Shore Vista Final Land Development Plan. The application P342 is a final land development site plan submitted by George Miles and Buer LLC on behalf of the property owner DRB Group of the Eastern Shore LLC. The plan proposes a subdivision of a single parcel of land into 104 townhouse lots with open space, stormwater management, and amenity areas on property zoned R3, townhouse and multifamily district, located at 142 Woodland Avenue. All right. So with that, I guess I'll turn it over to Jim.
Is that okay with you, Veronica? Nan?
I'm sorry, please.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I would like to point out that we have been through multiple steps of review with the applicant, and so tonight I'll just be reviewing, or I should say entering into the record, the comments that are yet outstanding. There have been other significant comments that have been addressed to date.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So starting with the general category, there has been a note that's been added that is acceptable and should remain on the plan. However, it is insufficient to specifically address the 30-foot wooded buffer. Include the following note on the plan and in the deed restrictions. The 30-foot wooded buffer around the perimeter of the site is a requirement of the approved plan. It shall be maintained in a wooded condition. Individual property owners are not permitted to remove these plantings. Maintenance of the plantings will be the responsibility of the homeowners association. Again, notes have been added to the plan set titled construction plans, but are not consistent on the plan set titled final development plan. Please note that the final development plan is required to include all of the construction detail provided in the separate set titled construction plan. Please create one plan set titled final development plan in accordance with the requirements listed in section 140-104. A separate record plat will be required for recordation after that. The site and grading plans are drawn at 1 inch equals 50 feet scale, which is not a code compliant and typically too small to be practically legible in the field. Provide plans at a scale that is no greater than 1 inch equals 40 feet. The bearings and distances being depicted on the record plan is sufficient. However, see comment 13 above regarding the breakdown of the final development plan and the record plat. Regarding the sanitary sewer plans, the town has no comments on the sanitary sewer plans at this point. Should the Sussex County review require revisions, we will need to revisit the plans. The building at the pool and the amenities area needs to comply with setback requirements. Show the setbacks in the vicinity of the building to verify compliance. The amenities listed on the plan include a cabana. If the cabana is to be a separate structure from the building currently shown, it will also need to be shown on the plan and placed such that it complies with the applicable setbacks. Regarding streets and sidewalks, per previous discussions with the GMB team, it is determined that the code required standard Del.PCC curb type 1.8 would be provided and a variance would not be required. However, the plan now calls for integral curb and gutter type 2 in construction note number 2 and type 1.4 in construction note number 10 and type 3.8 in the typical road cross sections. Please clarify what type of curb is proposed and ensure that the details provided on sheet C91 match. If anything other than type 1.8 is proposed, a variance will be required. Curb spot grades have been provided. However, it is not clear where curb depressions begin and end. It was originally discussed that the entire length of curb along the frontage of each townhouse block could be depressed. This is reliant on the type of curb being proposed. Verify what type of curb is proposed, and if type 1-8 is to be provided, clearly depict on the plan where the depressions begin and end for each block of townhouses. The speed limit as required by section 210-1 is 15 miles per hour. The sign currently shown on the plan lists 17 miles per hour. Provide striping as required. The striping should be depicted on sheet C8.5 along with the signage. Provide a construction detail for the sidewalk outside of the pedestrian connections and entrances in accordance with section 187-9 that does not reference Sussex County requirements. Town code requires a maximum slope for driveways of 8%. The standard DelDOT detail for entrances shows 10%. Please provide a modified version of the detail that maintains all of the typical DelDOT requirements but includes a maximum running slope of 8%. Specify the materials for the various courses of the pavement section in accordance with DelDOT specifications. The driveway aprons are not currently hatched as concrete. Please specify what the apron material will be. And also connect the sidewalks around both dead ends. Regarding drainage, drainage calculations have been provided with this submission. Comments addressing those calculations have been added to the list below. A pipe network appears on the plan in the rear yard area previously addressed. However, it does not appear that a schedule including the structure details has been provided. Include the detail for these pipes and structures on the plan. The pipe cover and angle worksheets included in the report are incomplete. Top of grate information is missing for the structures, and as such, the minimum cover cannot be verified. Please complete the tables and resubmit the information. Gutter spread calculations have also been provided. Comments regarding these calculations will be added to the list below. Provide a structural design signed and sealed by a professional engineer certified in Delaware for the box culvert under Corn Silk Drive, including any head wall and wing walls on the downstream end, and the specific detail is how the culvert will be connected to the outlet structure on the upstream end. Eliminate the curb opening in the curb along the right turn lane at the entrance. Extend the curb to the point at which the taper down to the travel lane begins, and place the catch basin in line with the curb at that point to collect as much water from the road as possible. The downstream tailwater condition and hydraulic grade line analysis for the 25-year storm should be the 25-year water surface elevation in the ponds. The routing calculations for the 25-year storm result in a water surface elevation of 9.04. However, the calculations include a starting hydraulic grade line elevation of 8.3. Please revise the calculations based on the 25-year water surface elevation. Provide a drainage area map depicting the subareas to each drainage structure to accompany the hydraulic grade line analysis. Provide the network schematic from within the software to accompany the hydraulic grade line analysis. It is difficult to say without the drainage area map, but the time of concentration of 9.4 minutes seems too long. Given what are most likely small, highly impervious areas, the minimum of 6 minutes would be more appropriate. The 9.4 minutes is likely resulting in lower, less conservative flow rates. Again, it is difficult to say without the drainage area map, but the runoff coefficient of 0.5 for every sub-area seems too low. Given C values of 0.95 for pavement and 0.1 for sandy lawns, every drainage area would have to be more than 50% lawn. Please revisit the runoff coefficient values and verify that they've been specifically calculated for each sub-area. There are numerous instances within the hydraulic grade line calculations where the pipe and structure data doesn't match the plan. Please revisit the data within the calcs to ensure that the model matches the proposed design. Provide revised gutter spread calculations that account for the revisions to the flow rates included in the comments above. Specifically regarding grading. Grading will be necessary off-site in the adjacent areas on lots in Balsa behind lots 23 and 24 where the ditch is being regraded to direct flow through the open space. Grading will also be necessary off-site in the reserves where the outfall channel from the stormwater facility ties into the existing ditch. It appears that grading at the bottom of the landscape berm is also beyond the property line in this area, and it appears that the limit of disturbance as depicted on the pre-construction site stormwater management plan is shown beyond the property line in this area as well. It is also possible that grading off-site will be necessary to tie the tax ditch into stormwater facility number 2. Please clarify the limit of disturbance at each of these locations. The existing topography appears to be missing from precise grading sheet plan sheet C14.1. Please turn the grading on so that the proposed tie-ins can be verified. The berm that is proposed along the rear of lots 1 through 9 blocks drainage from off-site that is currently drained by the ditch that is being filled in. Similarly, the grading at the end of Corn Silk Drive and along the east side of lot 10 does the same. A sump condition is created between the existing 11 contour that is just off of the property and the proposed 11 contour. Provide grading to drain this area in accordance with the requirements of section 132. The 12 contour behind lots 28 through 32 doesn't appear to tie into the existing topography. Provide grading in this area that remains outside of the wetland buffer. Provide grading at the end of the open channel where it ties into the ditch in the reserves that follows the wetland buffer and introduces the flow into the ditch at a softer angle than the 90 degrees currently proposed. The 10 contour behind lots 100 through 104 doesn't appear to tie into the existing topo, and the existing 9 and 10 contours behind lots 94 and 95 are crossed by the proposed 12 and 11 contours, but no proposed grading is provided. Similarly, in this area, the proposed contours behind stormwater facility number 2 extend toward the existing ditch, but don't appear to properly tie into existing contours. Verify the limit of disturbance and complete the grading in this area. Provide ADA, this is now on to a new section regarding ADA compliance. Provide ADA connectivity across Soybean Way at the intersection with Corn Silk Drive. Now regarding landscaping, guarantee for the landscaping is to be provided to the town by the applicant and not by to the applicant by their contractor. Revise the language in the note. The note should also be included on the record plat as well. Section 14074A3B requires that each large tree defined as having a diameter of 18 inches or more that is removed be replaced. No assessment of the number of 18-inch trees has been provided. Any trees planted to satisfy this requirement would be in addition to the trees required by section 14074A3C. Remove note number 25 from the landscape plan referring to Sussex County requirements. Provide a note addressing Town of Ocean View requirements as listed in section 14074A3C. The land area developed can be considered to be the gross site acreage, excluding any existing wooded area to remain. Therefore, in this case, the developed area would be 27.85 acres minus the 4.59 acres of woods to remain, resulting in 23.26 acres. At a rate of 1 tree per 3,000 square feet, 338 trees are required. The plan currently only proposes 245 trees. Drainage easements over closed pipe systems on private lots must be 20 feet wide in accordance with section 132.8. Provide right-of-way dedication along Woodland Avenue to the back of the curb along the right turn lane. The new right-of-way line should run parallel to the existing right-of-way for a constant width along the entire frontage. And then regarding outside agency review and approvals, at the time that this letter was written, not all outside agency approvals were in hand. As of today, the Sussex Conservation District approval and Denrick Drainage Section approvals are outstanding.
Outstanding?
Yes.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Jim. All righty. Ken, do you have any comments?
No, I don't have anything to add.
All right. All righty. Well, let's hear from the developer. Do you have representatives here that we should address the commission?
Yes. Please state your name for the record.
Yes. Hello, I'm John Severa. I'm with the DRB Group LLC. And just wanted to thank everybody, first of all, for this journey. It's been very well received, I believe, and it's been a very collaborative effort between us and the town, so I appreciate that. And every time we call or email with a question, everybody's been very prompt and nice to get back to us. So I thank you for that. It's been a nice journey. And we're very excited to possibly get moving on this project. As the developer and the builder, I want everybody to know that we will be very responsible in this development, and also as the builder. Sometimes when you have a developer separate from a builder in a community, there's some disconnect. In this instance, we're the same. So it's not like, well, we can point fingers here, we can point fingers there. We are going to stand behind what we do as a developer and a builder. So we're happy to address that and say that. That's really all I have to say. And if there's any questions that anybody has about the development or about anything of the concerns there may be, just feel free to let us know.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Steve Marsh. I'm an engineer with GMB. I just want to acknowledge we received the town comments on Monday night. We've already been working with town staff and Mr. Lober to address everything. we're fine with the comments. We'll work to address everything to the town's satisfaction on the next submittal. And there's been good dialogue back and forth, and I imagine there will continue to be as we just wrap up these final comments and work towards the final technical approval. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, thank you. Does the council or commission have any questions to the applicant?
Not so much question, but a couple of comments. I had a couple pages full, but Jim already took care of most of those, as he usually does. It's down to just a comment. In your landscaping, number 5, they talked about putting trees in certain areas, lighting restrictions would prevent it in others. I have to tell you, from having become a sidewalk lover and sidewalk hater over in Bear Trap, the types of trees you put in there are critical. They replaced a ton of sidewalks over there, and even though it's a 1x50 scale, I got out my magnifying glass and could see that that narrow green strip is no bigger than the sidewalk. And you're gonna put river birch and willow oaks in there, both of which are fairly shallow rooted. And I guarantee you within 5 years you're gonna have sidewalk issues, because it doesn't give enough space for those that, one, they're shallow rooted, but they will buckle those sidewalks in a relatively short period of time. See, unless you have a much wider area that you can put them in, you might want to look at some other types of trees that may go a little bit more deep rooted. And I say that from painful recognition of these problems in the past. So that's a suggestion. That's actually all I have, other than you want to address the public comments.
Okay. All right. Council, you wanted to address some issues before
Yeah,
we
so
open it up to...
we're gonna open it up to public comment, but before we do so, I just wanted to take note that there was an email issued to Ms. Oliver in the planning department from a Paul Higgins dated November 15th at 7:45 a.m. That email has been distributed from Ms. Oliver to all members of the board, and it will become part of the public record. So at this time, we can open up to people who want to speak. So if you want to speak, you'll need to come forward. You'll need to identify your name and address. You have 3 minutes to make your comments.
My name's Randy Cripps. I'm at 13 Sussex Avenue. By the way, thank you for that recap. That was awesome. Yeah, it actually makes me feel pretty comfortable. So, but I don't want to go through too much detail, because I don't want to get into the town code too much. But I know everyone doesn't know every single word of it. And since we're talking about the landscaping, Section 14073 deals with the screening portion, and it deals with shielding neighboring properties from the adverse effects of the development. Not talking about the buildings, but more of the garbage cans, cars parking on the streets, things of that nature. But it also, protects the development itself from traffic going through, street lights, things of that nature. So it's required for all the multifamily homes that are out there. The screening material will include both high and low plants, but also the width of the screen is to be 15 feet. Okay, so I didn't see that on the plans. So going along Woodland Avenue, I didn't see a 15-foot stretch there between the road and I think the retaining ponds that you have out there. So with that, this is what I wanted to find out was the Planning and Zoning Commission can approve an alternate landscape plan, provided that it meets the intent and purpose of the screening. And so really, my question to you all is knowing that we've got Smithfield and we've got Briarcliff that are, by all intent and purposes, done 20 years ago, and those berms that are there look pretty good right now. Actually enhances the neighborhood, I think, enhances the town. So, do you believe that the final plan that we're seeing now along Woodland Road, do you think that meets the town code that long term? in 20 years from now, do you think it's going to have that same effect as when you go along Woodland Avenue that we have with Briarcliff and Smithfield? That's all.
May I ask you, I'm not
Sure.
quite sure what your question is, but are you saying just meet the town code now? Are you asking us to anticipate what the town code may be in 20 years?
No, what I'm saying is, actually, town code has worked well, okay? I just went through town code about the berm and things of that nature. But the way this plan is today, do you think it meets the town code that I just laid out, the 14073? Because I don't think it does, but I'm not the one making the decision, obviously. And you didn't quite address it, you got real close to it, but
That's fine. If I can weigh in there,
Please do.
the town
Yeah.
code does not require screening between residential subdivisions. It requires screening between differing types of uses and zonings. So this subdivision is not required to provide screening from other residential subdivisions.
actually, section 14073, B1 says required for all multifamily developments.
And this is not technically multifamily, these are townhouses. They're two different uses.
Okay.
We can't always be the bureaucrats, you know.
No, I get it. Well, you know, obviously with me, where my house is, I'm gonna be looking at the entrance every day. I'm trying to make that entrance look as, make it fit into the surrounding developments that we already have, that's all. I don't doubt that the buildings will be nice or anything like that, it's not. But I do question long-term the, you know, the trash cans, the cars, because what I understand is we're not gonna go into that development and say, hey, you can't park your car on the street. Hey, you have to put your trash cans away. That's gonna be up to the homeowner association. I get it, you know, but, the way those two communities put that berm up, they solved a lot of problems down the road. I just wanna make sure this new development going in kind of addresses that same thing, just like putting the correct trees in. You know, it's best to do it now, not later. So, well, thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Knew you would be. What's your name, sir?
Doug Garrity, I live at 3772 Balsa Street.
Thank you.
The town engineer did a great job for pointing out all the things that are missing on the drawings. My concern here, and along with my fellow neighbors, is we have 2 points here. We have a farm ditch that feeds into the existing Banks ditch. Banks ditch is actually about 10 feet inside the property line where it starts. And in your comments there's also a farm ditch that goes parallel all the way along from almost Woodland, along the properties, and it ends around my lot, number 8. You said on your comments that it's going to be covered. The problem with that is myself and my other neighbors, even when our houses were built, the drainage, because we live in lowlands, as everybody knows, I'm 3 feet above sea level, and it's very wet. And everything was pitched toward that ditch, and it was a farm ditch at the time, and it still is. So if you cover that up, that's going to impede my drainage from my property. And I just want to have that addressed, because that's going to be a big issue for me, because they will flood my basement. And so all my drains go down in a swale, and it goes down. It's actually a ditch covered with pipe, and it goes into that existing farm ditch. Now, to your point too, the farm ditch now the Banks ditch goes on a 45-degree angle, and we have the farm ditch actually drains all of Balsa Street. And you'll see everybody's property south of my house going into that ditch, and then it goes in Banks ditch. Right now, they have it as a 90-degree angle on the property, which may not be conducive to drainage. I don't know how hydraulically it would get in there, but I'm willing to work with the builder if we have to go on my property and all to help facilitate the 2 ditches and to get everything to flow nicely so it works beneficial for them and it's beneficial for us, because we don't want to have our basements flooded out. So I hope that we can address that, because I'd really like to see us not covering up that ditch that runs along the back of our property lines, because we all have drainage going into that ditch, and that ditch's been in existence for over 50 years.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
So you mentioned that you have your drainage on your lot gets into pipes. and then those pipes daylight in that ditch?
What I do is I put a pipe, when I built the property, from all the culverts coming down my property, I made a catch basin. And then I took it all the way out, and it was a very well constructed, engineered catch basin. And I took it all the way out to where the property, it bends. I could show you on there, but. And then it just goes into, flows into where Banks Ditch starts.
Got it.
And then the other ditch goes all along our property line, if I may. I know Walter's gonna get a little upset, but, this ditch right here, this is the one that all our properties here drain. Everything was graded to drain into that farm ditch 50 years ago. That's how it was graded. And this ditch here, which is the existing Banks ditch, I have a property, I take all these houses here, go into ditches, and it comes out here, and it goes into this ditch, into Banks ditch. This I'm willing to work with them with. If we can do something, you say a 90-degree angle, we can work on my property and make that a better swell. But this is the property ditch we really don't want to see covered because we need to drain our properties.
So that ditch is going to be filled in, but it's going to be, a pipe is going to be placed in the ditch, so that the conveyance capacity will remain. It's just going to be below grade in a pipe.
Okay, so we can just discharge onto the
Continue to
grass
discharge
and
across,
just drain it.
exactly. The reason I asked about the pipe that you have though is because if that pipe is tying into that ditch, then we would need to make accommodations for that pipe to tie into the new pipe. So that's what I want to make sure I understand.
Okay, no, I do not have,
Okay.
I got confused here. I do not have a pipe on this ditch
Okay.
at all. This is the pipe that comes out along the property.
Okay. So the existing grade as the water flows off the back of your property along that length right there is to remain.
But it is I did dig a trench on there, so
Okay.
it is below grade.
Okay.
So my discharge is below grade going into this ditch. And so are the other properties. So I don't know how you accommodate that.
Okay. We'll have to go out and take a look at it.
Okay.
The intent at the moment is to allow the surface grade elevation to continue to come into the property, but then instead of dropping off into the existing ditch, as you mentioned, to get into catch basins, which would then drain into a pipe in essentially the same location. However, if you've dug something deeper that ties into the invert of that ditch as opposed to the top of that ditch,
Correct.
okay, so that's what we're gonna have to figure out.
Okay, as long as we can work together on it, that'd be great. That's all the comments I had. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Steve, you wanna make a comment on anything?
So in regards
Could
to
you
that.
come to the microphone? Steve?
I'm sorry.
Could you give us just 1 second?
Okay.
We
So
invite-
I'm being asked to just respond,
Yeah.
put my 2 cents into that, that's fine. So I think this was a town comment because that ditch was taking up a lot of what were gonna be those backyards.
Right.
So there are multiple surface inlets. We are fine working with the neighbors to figure out if we need to put some culvert or a structure there to tie in their pipes and it'll come right into the new pipe. That's fine, no problem.
The word pipe just rang alarm in my head because he said he didn't have a pipe other than that one end. If on his house and whatever abutting houses are, depend purely on the slope of the grass to drain to the ditch, and you need to fill that somehow because you're gonna put a drain pipe under it, that doesn't fix their problem.
You're
That
gonna,
makes their problem worse.
you're gonna have to have pipes on their property as well that tie into the new pipe.
So each of their properties then will have to have a drain pipe to tie into it in order to drain the backyard? Is that correct?
If they have a drainage swale that ties into the bottom of the off-site ditch, and the off-site ditch gets filled, then their ditch would have to get filled with a pipe in it as well, yes.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good evening, Paul Higgins, 33261 Paradiso Greens in the reserves, unincorporated area of Ocean View.
And
I
Mr.
did-
Higgins, you submitted this email this morning, correct?
Yes, actually, I think it was Tuesday, maybe?
Sorry, November 15th, Wednesday, I apologize.
Wednesday.
Wednesday,
I
November.
didn't realize that was gonna be read into the record, and I just wanted to add that since I wrote that, I've had a tremendous communication and cooperation from Ken, Jill Oliver, and Jim Loper to open some doors to get our concerns addressed by the developer and their engineering company. The issue with us is that we are downstream, tax ditch-wise, of the Lakeshore or Shoreview Vista. So we, and our stormwater system is kind of at capacity as it is now. So we're concerned about the amount of water we will be receiving from the new development. Since it's no longer going to be farms and woods, there'll be quite a lot of runoff. So we were sort of worried about the performance of our system. So the doors that Ken and Jim and Jill open are going to be very helpful. You know, we've been looped in with the Conservation District and DNREC, and hopefully we'll be able to get our concerns addressed. But again, I'm really up here to follow up on that information in the record and to express our appreciation for the cooperation we received. So thank you.
Thank you.
I have one additional comment. Thank you for putting this in number 16 font. Very easy on the eyes.
All right, any other comments from the audience? All righty.
So,
Well,
I would like to ask a question of Mr. Semino and Mr. Lober. Typically, when you make recommendations or you generally ask that the board make any approvals conditioned upon fulfillment of the terms and conditions of Mr. Lober's letter, and also conditioned upon any agency approvals. Is there anything you've heard tonight that you would seek to add any additional conditions?
I would. How about you?
Yeah, I think, yeah, we're gonna need more information along the Balsam Street property line. Because I don't believe the topo that we currently have necessarily shows the detail we're gonna need slightly off the property on the backs of those residential lots.
All right, so what should that condition look like then? If the board was inclined to accept this, what do you want the developer to do or comply with in order to?
Let me see what comment.
And I don't mean, I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay, that's
but
okay. Let me get to my, get into my
I wanna
letter.
make sure we're addressing concerns.
Sure.
Incorporating their drainage
Yeah.
into our system.
Which comment?
May I, Mr. offer something here?
Please.
Since this is a recorded meeting, and I've got a scribbled list here of what needs to be done, I think we can simply say the appendage to that is that as per the stated recorded readings of Mr. Loper tonight regarding the Balsam Street drainage, that should cover it. Because we discussed everything in detail.
Based on the testimony at the meeting.
Okay, and you want basically cooperation
Between the applicant, I guess what I would say is additional information provided by the applicant to address information gathered at the meeting tonight presented by the homeowners regarding comment number 9 in my drainage section.
Okay. Do you have that, Mr. Curran?
I do.
Okay.
all right.
So, are there any more comments or questions? All right, do you want to close the public hearing?
Yes, I'll close the public comment section of the meeting, and I'm going to turn it over to Walter, who has his notes prepared here for, I assume you're going to make a motion.
I am. I'm the squiggler in the room. I move to approve application P-342, a final land development site plan of Shore Vista, prepared by George Miles and Buer LLC on behalf of DRB Group of the Eastern Shore LLC, subject to the following conditions. 1, satisfaction of all outstanding items in the town engineer's recent letter, review letter, dated November 10, 2023, as determined by the Director of Planning and Development, and 2, receipt of all outstanding agency approvals, including but not limited to Sussex Conservation District and Delaware Department of Natural Resources drainage section regarding tax ditch realignment. 3, amend section 9.2 II of the master declaration for Shore Vista to account for association's required maintenance of 30 feet wooded buffer on lots as depicted on final land development site plan. And 4, subject to the receipt of the additional information in addressing the issues raised by the Balsam Street homeowners regarding the drainage on Balsam Street and as recorded in tonight's meeting. That is the motion that I offer.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any questions from members on the proposal that has been submitted? Any comments?
I just have a comment, is just from a lot of the things that I've heard tonight, it's, you know, there's been a lot of really good signs of people working together and you know, working through a lot of complex issues in a positive way, and so it's,
Right.
you know, it's nice to see.
Right. And I would agree with you wholeheartedly on that. Tom?
No, nothing at all. I'm just happy to see everybody cooperate together.
Right, okay. All right, well, with that said, we've got a motion before us in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so the motion passes 5-0. And we appreciate the cooperation thus far and look forward to you getting back with the final details. And with that, I have a motion to adjourn.
So, a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are dismissed.
Let's stay for a little.